So, Lee, can you describe how people can receive information or communication from supernatural beings?
I it's a very tender subject because it's happening all the time. But we're so used to it that we don't recognize it. The real issue is one of the jobs that we have when we come to earth is to have these physical senses. And that is how we attend to the physical world. You need them. They're not less than. They are tools. If I'm trying to hammer a nail into the wall, if I don't have a hammer, I'm going to look around for a rock or a shoe, but that's not going to work very well. So we need tools. And as long as we recognize those are tools and we use them in the proper way and not try to access those other intuitive things with it, things go better. But here's the rub on that. We are not taught from the earliest age to trust that. Native cultures do very well with it. Aboriginal cultures, people that live close to the land. Why is that? Because you are communing with the earth herself, and your body is made up of the elements of the earth. So these earth people and earth oriented human beings are the keepers of that information. And sometimes it helps people if they're not native, or if they are, but if they're not, to look at what is said by these elders and by people who live in that world. They are living in a different frequency. I know that when Tom and I go back to one of our homes, which is the Rosebud Sioux Reservation, where I have my Honka family there, the minute you land in Rapid City and we're driving to Rosebud or to Mission, the minute you get on reservation property, I feel it. There's a change, there's a shift in frequency. Sometimes it's very hard for me to deal with. But this is the inner world, and we are not taught, most of us in Western culture and in technological societies, to trust that. Is that bad? No, it just is. Now, look at the good part of that, and there is a good part in a way. What we have done is attend most of our senses to developing technology, the physical world, medical research, um, culture, art, whatever you want to call that. So we have to put it in perspective. But what has happened is that we've gone a little far with that. We've gone over the edge. I can guarantee you that every second of the day, you have an ability to access those other worlds. And what my brother in spirit, Ray Hernandez, calls it, he says, this is God. This is the God frequency. And all of us doing this kind of work agree that it is just something else and it's unnameable. You really can't name it. Some cultures have called God the unknown God, the great mysterious, because all we can do is label it and say it's a bigger and better us. We're very limited in these physical bodies. And the reason is that we come here to overcome that, but also to use those skills. So, yes, you do have access to this. And whether it's a spiritual being from higher planes, whether it is a deva connected to the earth, wind, water, fire, whether it's a relative who's passed over, it can be anything. It can be from your own soul. But we are constantly getting fed these things, and it is up to us to decide how much of that we want in our life.
How can we start trusting these communications?
Oh, that can be really hard. It can be hard because the physical world is so glamorous. There's so much illusion. It's sparkly. It's loud. It tastes. It has appearances and colors. It's very hard to do that, and so that is why in meditation we're told to quiet ourselves, to maybe close your eyes, to sit in a position to where you're comfortable and comforting to yourself. So there is a way of quieting ourselves, and I know that we harp on this. There's not just one method. But I know in Catholic Church, And I don't know who else uses it. I think Muslim religions use it where you kneel. When you kneel, that is a very vulnerable position. And Theosophy teaches that that is one of the most holy positions you can be in because you kneel when you get your head chopped off, you know. You're asked to kneel. You're being vulnerable to your higher self. And the physical body really can't protect itself that much. Unless you got a 357 in your waistband, you know how to aim backwards, but or a sword. But the positioning of our body and positioning of our mind of choosing calmness, and you know how to do that. Don't think you don't. You do know. And it can start in kindergarten. Everybody lay down on your mat and be quiet. Well, I didn't do well with that. I was always picking at the carpet or looking around, seeing what kind of crap I could get into. 'Cause I was bored. It just bored the hell out of me. But later on, I learned how to calm myself. Part of it was being in detention hall, and I just had to sit there on my hands, basically. That didn't go well either. Ended up picking a hole in my blue jeans once. I think there are different ways depending on your culture. Let's look at that one. Where do you live in the world? How were you raised? And what was the attitude that you were raised to believe about things that you can't see, hear, taste, smell? What is that? Now, part of the parent's job is to attenuate the child to the physical world to teach you how to survive. So if a parent goes, get out of your dream state and go mow the lawn, they're not saying that you can't mow the lawn and maybe be in a kind of dream state. Watch where you go. So there's no big answer to this. But once again, you have to just try. Say, I'm going to be curious. Curiosity is a wonderful thing, isn't it? Just to be curious and to open our heart to it and ask for help. You're surrounded with a plethora of all kind of beings, shapes, sizes, forms. And you, if you are on a good path for yourself, you'll get a lot of help. So I think that's also important, but we have to be discerning. We have to value our value system and have boundaries with that too.
Is there a way to know who or what messages are for your good?
I think you develop a what I call a frequency signature. I know if a certain being is communicating with me, but I've been doing this for over 60 years. I mean, I get that. It took me a long time, but you can't always know. But your heart can know how it feels. If you have a decent feeling, a good feeling, a connection, that's a good indicator that maybe things are this is a good being to communicate with. Now, how you communicate with it will depend on the skills that you have developed, what you are born with. This so called psychic abilities, mediumship comes through the females genealogically. So, was your mother intuitive? Was your mama psychic? Was your mom connected to the old ways, or is she very religious, a spiritual sensitive? You have to look at that piece too. And females are in charge of that on the planet because we are the mystery. We create children within us, and then the reality comes out. And your next 18 years could be challenging, but it starts that way, you know. But we hold the mystery inside of us. It's easier, I think, for females in a state of grace to be quieter and to feel that more. I'm gonna
Makes
get
sense.
I'm gonna get in trouble for that, but it's just part of the female nature. And when men are doing that, meditating, they are expressing their female energy field. They're not becoming women, but they're expressing their inner feminine, the divine.
Right. In the same way that dads, when they have newborns, also they settle in nature as well.
Yes, we use those things all the time. And I think lately it's become popular to use that term. Well, that's his female side or that's her masculine side. Then you have toxic masculinity, toxic femininity. All that's there. Of course, it's there. This is once again the good and evil poured into the same cup, and we drink it unaware. Everything's happening at the same time, but we only attend to a small amount of it. Are we protected? Oh, yes, we are. My spiritual and religious beliefs, I think, protect me. You do need protection. You need to protect yourself against your own desire body controlling you, all the glamours in the world, all the sneaky little things that hook us in that can lead into some pretty icky stuff. But you do have a guardian angel. Everybody does, but you don't communicate with them. Their only job is to keep you on the straight and narrow.
How do they do that without communicating with us?
Well, they set up maybe roadblocks. They will set up situations to stop you. And if you stop, if you get the message, you get the email, great. If you don't, you may just create a bad situation for yourself. I've had experiences like that too. I think we all do in a way. We start going down a certain path, and it's either our ego or glamour or mental illusion. And the guardian angel will step in energetically and set up messaging. And it may be through your dreams, it may be through other people, it may be from you getting sick in a certain way or just feeling bad, going, why do I feel off? What am I doing? You see, we know. We just don't want to pay attention to it because we're all idiots in certain ways, me included. We want what
Or,
we want.
or our lives are more orchestrated with a lot more players than just us. We're never alone, even though it may feel like it.
That's true. And part of the lesson of Earth, of course, is to feel alone. And you may be one of those people that keeps asking for help and never gets it. It may be that you are in a school and those who guard and guide you and keep you are like, we're going to let you figure this out. And that can go on for days, weeks, months, years, maybe a whole lifetime. Maybe you picked a lifetime where you said, you know what? I'm going to see what I can do without being able to connect to guidance. Anything's out there. Anything that you can imagine is out there. It doesn't mean that it's actual, that it's physical, that it's so called real. You know, if you think you saw a brontosaurus in your backyard, you didn't, but you can imagine it, and so that is called a personal density. That's not a dimension. Dimensions are universal. Densities are personal.